This video is on the basic foundations of algebra. So you're going to start with your warm-up, and then we have what is the order of operations. So the order of operations are the steps we follow to simplify an expression. And we remember this by what we call PEMDAS. So P stands for parentheses. E stands for exponents. M stands for multiplication. D stands for division. A stands for addition. And S stands for subtraction. Ooh, subtraction, there we go. With multiplication and division, it doesn't matter that we never do multiplication first, then division. What we do is whichever comes first, left to right. So that means if division comes first, left to right, we'll do division first. If multiplication comes first, we'll do multiplication first. Same deal for addition and subtraction. We're going to whichever comes first, left to right. So we define an exponent as the power of an expression. And it tells you how many times to multiply the base by itself. And the base is the value being taken to some power. So what does that look like? So that means if we have something like a raised to the x, then this x is our exponent, and this a is our base. So it's going to tell us to multiply a by itself x times. So that's like a times a times a, and it'll be x times. So something like 5 cubed is 5 times itself 3 times. So 5 times 5 times 5. So now we're going to use PEMDAS to simplify the following expressions. So let's take a look at this first example. We have 6 minus 2 cubed divided by 2. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with our parentheses and simplify that first. In the parentheses, we see 6 minus 2. So we'll make that 4 cubed divided by 2. Now let's check if we have exponents. Well, I have an exponent right there with the 3. So I'll do 4 cubed, which is 4 times 4 times 4. Or on my calculator, I can plug it in, and it's 64 divided by 2. Now we have multiplication and division. Let's see. We don't have multiplication. We have division. So 64 divided by 2 is 32. So I want you to start by writing out these steps really clearly so that you make sure you follow the order of operations. Next, let's start with parentheses. Well, I don't see any parentheses here, so let's go to exponents. Exponents, I see a 2 to the 4th, so I'm going to do 16 minus 1 over 5. Now here's a tricky thing. Next up, I do have multiplication or division, but this up here in the numerator, since it's in the numerator, it's kind of grouped up here. So we're going to do this first, since it's a grouping. It's kind of like a parentheses in a way. It's grouping it all together. So 16 minus 1 is 15 divided by 5. And now I can do division, which is next, so that is equal to 3. Next up, I have 12 minus 25 plus 7 divided by 2. Let's check. Do we have parentheses? Nope. Do I have exponents? Nope. Do I have multiplication or division? Let's look left to right. The first thing that comes up is that division. So I'll do 12 minus 25 plus 7 divided by 2 is going to give me a 3.5. Now I have addition and subtraction. So again, let's look left to right. First, I come across this subtraction. So I'm going to do 12 minus 25 to get negative 13 plus 3.5. And now I'm ready to add those together. And so my answer is negative 9.5. Next, we get into evaluating algebraic expressions. So what we're going to do is plug in the value that we want to evaluate it for, and then we're going to simplify using PEMDAS. When I plug in anything, I like to use parentheses when I do it. So I'll show you what I mean. In this first example, I want to know the value of x squared plus 3x minus 4 when x is equal to 5. So this is what I want to plug in. So anytime I see an x, I'm going to plug in 5. So I'm going to write this as 5 squared plus 3 times 5 minus 4. Now I'm going to go through my checklist. All right, so parentheses, everything's simplified inside of there. Exponents, 5 squared is 25 plus 3 times 5 minus 4. Next up is multiplication and division. So I see the 3 times 5 in there. So I'm going to rewrite this as 25 plus 15 minus 4. Last up is addition and subtraction. So I'm going to do this left to right. So first, 25 plus 15 is going to give us 40. And then we have minus 4. So that gives us a 36. In this next one you see, we have an x equals 1 and a y equals 3. So where I see x, I'm going to plug in 1. And where I see y, I'm going to plug in 3. And remember, I like to use parentheses when I do this. So negative 2, x, instead of x, I'm going to write 1. Minus 2 times x, I'm going to write 1. Times y, I'm going to write 3. Plus 13. Now, I'm going to see what I can multiply or divide, right? There's no exponents. So negative 2 times a 1 is a negative 2. Minus 2 times 1 times 3. 2 times 1 is 2. And 2 times 3 is 6. Plus 13. Last up is addition and subtraction, left to right. So first I encounter this negative 2 minus 6, which is a negative 8. Plus 13. Negative 8 plus 13 gives us 5. Next up, I have 8x cubed plus 14y, so that's when x is equal to 2 and y is equal to negative 3. So I'll plug in a 2 where I see an x, and I'll plug in a negative 3 where I see a y. Parentheses are all set, so I'll move to exponents. I see this 2 cubed. 2 cubed is 8, so 8 times 8 plus 14 times negative 3. Now I'm going to look for multiplication. I see an 8 times 8, that's 64. A 14 times negative 3, that's negative 42. Now I'm going to add and subtract. So 64 minus 42 is 22. Next up, we have something that's called the distributive property. So this says for any variables or numbers, a, x, and y, a times x plus y, I'm going to distribute it. So what I'm going to do is say a times x gives me ax plus a times y gives me ay. So let's see what this means for an example. If If I have 3 times x plus 2, well, I'm going to do a 3 times x and a 3 times 2. So this becomes 3 times x plus 3 times 2, or 3x plus 6. Next up, I have a negative 2 times x minus 1. I multiply negative 2 times x and negative 2 times negative 1. Negative 2 times x is what I said, plus a negative 2 times a negative 1, which is negative 2x, plus negative times a negative is a positive, so plus 2. Next up, I'm going to distribute, again, 4 times 3x. This time I might not write it out. I might try to do it in my head. 4 times 3x is 12x, plus 4 times 4 is 16. Next up, I have like terms. So what are like terms? These are terms with the same variables and exponents on the variables. So this is important. So this is an example. We have like 5x squared. We have the same term, the same exponent, and 7x squared. Same term, same exponent. It doesn't matter that the coefficients, 5 and 7, the numbers in front are different. So why do we care? Well, we care because like terms can be added or subtracted. So let's see what like terms we have in this first example. So I have this list. What terms are similar to 5? Well, I've got a 5. Every other term has a variable except for this one, the negative 1. So 5 and negative 1 are like terms. Then let's see, 4x. My exponent here is just 1. This has an exponent of 2, so that doesn't count. This has an exponent of 2, so that doesn't count. Oh, here's another 10x. And last up, this x squared term is my last like term. So what I'm going to do to combine them is just add them up, but I'm going to include the sign. And I'm going to go from highest to lowest power, or highest to lowest exponent. So let's see. I'm going to start with my x squared. So negative 2x squared plus 4x squared. That means I have negative 2 of them plus 4 of them. How many do I have? I have 2 of them, so 2x squareds. Next I have a 4x, and I'm subtracting 10x. So 4x minus 10x means I have 4 x's. I'm taking away 10 x's, so I end up with negative 6 x's. Last up, I have 5 minus 1, which we all know is 4. So there's my answer. All right. Now we come to another problem that says simplify the expression. This is just like before where we can use PEMDAS, but now we have some variables in here. So what we're going to do is always distribute first. And then combine like terms. So I'm going to distribute 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 11 is negative 44. Plus 12 minus 2x. Now let's see what like terms we have. We have something with an x, and then we just have our constants. So 4x minus 2x is 2x. Negative 44 plus 12 is negative 32.